Very porn city with the POV camera.
Oh, is it? Does it feel weird?
Feels weird, yeah, but anyway.
All right, so just roll straight in.
Roll straight in, man.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the YKTR Sports Show. We are brought to you in the BodyScience Studio. As always, you can get all your BSC products from Coles or online, all that sort of good stuff. Skipper Scope has gone down. He's pulled a hammy in captain's run, but joined by a much better host today, Rugby League Guru. Hey bro, what's up?
Mate, what a reserve to bring in, just quietly.
Better looking, got better football knowledge, so I'm pumped to have you here.
Nah, it's too bad Scope went down, but grateful for the opportunity, mate.
Yeah, Guru was always going to come in anyway, so we're going to do a kind of a three-way, but Scope's a close contact at the moment, so he's doing all the right things and staying at home, so as a good skipper does. So looking forward to the finals this week?
Mate, keen as. I cannot wait for it this week. Two cracking games, some of the best coaches in the business left at the end.
That's it. That's the way it should be, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it's what separates all these teams this year. It's coaching for me.
What's your background, bro? How'd you get into rugby league?
Very average player. I know you call yourself an average player, but you're not in my class, believe me. Just loved footy growing up, mate. Grew up in this sort of area, South Sydney. Just always loved my footy. I always loved talking about it more than probably playing it.
Yeah, that's most of us, bro, I think.
Fitness and tackling. No thanks. But yeah, mate, started the page a couple of years ago, doing Supercoach essentially, and then expanded out to rugby league in general because I was just getting sick of talking about Supercoach.
Weird fact, you don't have a rugby league team.
No, I don't. Everyone thinks I hate their team or I love the team that they hate, but I don't really, mate. My girlfriend and her family are mad South Sydney fans, so sort of get bunched into the South Sydney crowd a bit, but I'm not. It's the first thing you asked me to. But no, I just love footy, man. I always say to people I'm a fan of the game, and I'll tell you what, nothing pisses people off more.
Yeah, that's kind of pissing me off, bro.
Yeah, good, that's what I want.
Pick a team,
You got to pick a side. Let's pick one now.
If I had to... You're going to undo 3 years of good work here. If I had to pick one...
Oh, next minute, Instagram page is going
I'd probably go Melbourne, mate. I love a good system. I love just everything Melbourne do at the moment. I think the Chooks, they're an unreal system too. So I love Brady. I love the Patriots when they were going.
So you're a bandwagon fan?
I'm a bandwagon. Mate, the only person I've ever spoken to about this that understood what I was saying was Finchy. He went, yeah, no, I agree. I went, thank fuck, good. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but... just a fan of the game, mate. Just love it. Helps me to be a little bit unbiased. So
yeah, 100%. Makes things a lot easier, doesn't it?
Heaps easier, yeah. And I think people can see on my page that I genuinely don't have a team.
Yep.
Like I'll pay respect or bag depending on what's going on, you know. So as far as the page goes, it's helped the vast majority of the time. Yeah.
Good man. All right, it's a bit of a new setup here. We've gone add another camera. Vintage Jackson, what's up, bro?
POV, baby, what's good? I think this is working, so we're either going to be listening to me talk and it's just going to be a black screen, or we're going to get this pretty angled me, so who knows?
Oh, it's YouTube, bro. They'll tell you. Fuck.
Yeah.
They don't mind telling you. 100%, eh? All right, so Jackson's going to roll off a few topics from around the game and we'll just roll into it.
Yeah, a bit of obviously it's Wednesday, so we're not going to stick too long on the whole review stuff, but three big things we'd like to start with, Guru. We'll start with you here, mate. Three kind of big topics surrounding the game. The first one is the presidential pardon. So Cam Munster has managed to get Justin Olam tossed into the centre of the year conversation. What was your reaction to all of that with regards to Olam being out in the first place?
Mate, unreal to think they missed out on him. I mean, surely when you're going through these categories, you look at the teams that are winning, the teams that have been successful for ages, you look at their centres. It's mind-boggling how they missed him.
Who are the centres that are in it?
It was Burton, Joey Manu, and a third centre that escapes me. I'll double check.
Just crazy. Regardless of who that third centre is, it could be Mal Meninga. Crazy that Olam missed this year, you know. I think he's been sensational this year. I think the thing with Olam, people forget at the start of the year, Melbourne had 2 games that they could have won on the last play, and he kind of butchered it at the back end. Everyone bagged him from it, but the way that he bounced back from that, that's what I love to see from guys, bouncing back from their worst moment. He's been sensational. I think if you talk to any opposing half centre, Olam's in that category.
Morgan Harper.
He's
a prime example. Yeah,
Shocking day to be Morgan Harper.
He's definitely got that Steve Maddai sort of factor about him. The scary thing about Steve Maddai, bro, when you see him in real life, he's not that big, bro. Like, I'd be bigger than Steve Maddai, but just his presence when you're on the field, and especially when you're sweeping out the back, once those Francis Malley guys start coming through or Steve Maddai, starts getting pretty interesting. But the
presidential pardon, man.
That's how much pull he's got. He's put out one tweet or one Instagram story. The boys have reshared it. He's rolling into the Dally M's.
And credit to the NRL for actually owning this mistake.
What did they say? What was their technical?
I don't know what it was.
I believe the terminology was an administrative error. Yeah. So
at least they haven't gone with head in sand like they usually do. Like, at least they've owned up and copped it, and we've ended up with the right result. We just had to go the long way.
Would you rock up? That's the next question.
Yeah, I think I would.
Would you?
Yeah.
I don't think I would, eh?
Why not?
I don't know. It's just like a sympathy invite. You know, when you get that lazy invite to a wedding last minute.
Yeah.
I just feel like it feels
slap
in the facey.
I can't see, this is poor prep from me, but I can't see for the life of me where that third centre is, so apologies.
And the fact that we got Rugby League Guru here and he can't even think of it off the top of his head. It's
probably Gagai.
Even someone, like, you know what I mean? Like, Gagai, cool, Gagai.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But
anyway, Burton's obviously been great, but...
does that hurt him going into first five, that he's played so well at centre, or nah?
5'8", first five. You get
First
very
five,
rugby union over here, mate.
Mates with Dan Carter and that now. What do you reckon? Or is he in the Fittler mould where he can sort of plug into any position?
Yeah, I think he can plug in. He's just a footballer, mate. I don't think the game has ever been more suited to just natural footballers. And he's right up there with the very best of them at the moment. The way that he comes off that left foot, he's so deceptively quick over 10 metres. He must be so hard to handle in that footy side.
100%.
Yeah, it's... And, you know, it helps he scores. He's got, you know, Kick-Out inside him, all eyes on Kick-Out. It's just...
Oh, Toto outside you.
Oh, mate, it's
and
it's
then
a
Jerome
dangerous
Luai
footy
throwing you the
side.
ball. Yeah. You should be all right.
I feel kind of sorry for Jerome Luai out of all this because I think he's developed as a footballer and he's learnt that I just need to release the ball.
I think that's maturity, bro.
Oh, mate, 100%. But because he doesn't get the stats, the try assists, everyone says he's shit. It's wild.
Yeah. That'd be a pleasure. I wish I was 5'8" and just dishing it out.
Yeah. Just
push up, jump on all the boys. That's the way to go. Grab the beers after. Bit of oak.
Yeah.
Gus Gould giving you a pat on the back at the Penrith. It's the dream.
Right, big thing number 2. Guru, we'll start with you here as well, mate. Michael Maguire, after a shambolic review, has been saved. So 24 hours ago, it probably looked like, well, the reports were that he was going to be moved on. Now they're saying they're backing him unequivocally with an asterisk because Tim Sheens is coming in to oversee all coaching operations. I don't know what the fuck that means, but...
Who was the coach that not long ago that he couldn't pick his own sides? He got... Was it Nathan Brown?
Yeah. There was like a coaching committee.
So that shit never works.
Never.
That shit never works.
So, Guru, I kind of pose this to you. Your reaction to the Tigers' review of Doom, followed by Madge staying on, but Sheens babysitting him.
Look, the Tigers, they always make the right noises, but they don't back anything up. I mean, I remember a year ago when he re-signed and they said, he's the guy for the future, he's the man. 12 months later, I mean, they have to have a review to find out if he's going to be there, and then they try and make it act like it was just a media beat-up. It's like,
They reviewed, and I believe the decision was supposed to come at like 2 p.m. yesterday, and then at the 11th hour, they extended that to 5 p.m., then 6 p.m., and then made a decision where they said there was never any doubt.
What does unequivocally mean? Like unanimous?
Unanimously, yeah.
That doesn't sound unanimous to me.
It took us a year and 6 hours to decide we're unanimous. Like,
and we still had to push it out a few more hours. That's
it's
weird.
Wild. It is. And then they put out a media release on their website, and I would say, why'd you put out a media release? If you knew he was the guy, why, you know... Are the Melbourne Storm, if they lose this week, are they going to decide in 6 weeks' time, hey, Craig Bellamy's still our guy?
Yeah.
Like, it's just dysfunction. I think with Madge, though, that if you're going to sack him, you need to get someone better than him, and I don't think the Tigers can get someone better than Madge, really.
Cam Serrato would be still rookie, not proven. He'd be in the Craig Fitzgibbon sort of conversation, wouldn't he?
Yeah, but, mate, I remember sitting there last year, and you look at Cam Serrato, what he's done at the Panthers, very impressive. I remember thinking the same thing about Trent Barrett. I know you're all good mates with him, but... I don't know, it's a big task. I mean, Madge, there's not many coaches that have won premierships. He's one of them. It's hard to get better than... The only guy that I think on the market that could maybe be better than him is maybe Flano, but...
The reports are they didn't speak to Flano. He didn't get an interview. So
respectfully, like I've known a lot of boys that have played with Flano and stuff as well, and it's just like you don't hear glowing reviews. Like you talk to anyone at Melbourne about, you know who gets a lot of reviews? Brad Arthur, like really good ones. Brad Arthur, even like someone like Ken Edwards who got sacked from him. He goes, nah, he's the man. Yeah. So what like reputation, what people say behind your back is really important. And with Flanagan, just heard great guy, awesome guy, but not going to teach you too much, respectfully.
Guru, if you're the Tigers brass, what are you doing? Whether it's recruitment, whether it's Madge, like where do the Tigers go from here? Because obviously that review is going to entail a lot of looking over a pretty shambolic season. Do you mind with the Velcro, man?
Sorry, bro.
What are you doing if you're the Tigers, man?
Mate, I'm not smart enough to answer this question, to be perfectly honest with you. But I do know that their biggest problem has been they find all this talent. they find all this young talent over the last 15 years. They're not able to hold on to them. The guys that they have found this year in the fullback, Laurie, Big Stefano, I love some of the young guys, and I think that's the scariest thing. For me, I think as a system, as a team, they probably overachieved as individual players. They underachieved on the ladder still. Like, it's a scare. Like, I don't think that fullback could have possibly played any better than what he did this year. I think Stefano is one of the premier front rowers in our game for the back end of the season now. I love him. I think Luciano Leilua been sensational as well. It's
Adam Dewey as well.
Mate, Dewey.
I think the combination of like a not solid club at all into a sort of Nazi-style head coach is like a lot of people, like, it wouldn't be hard to sell the Tigers. Hey, you're going to live in fucking Concord, which is like 5 minutes from the city. You're 25 minutes from the beach. You're playing at home most weeks when everyone's back in Sydney. You're sleeping in your own bed. It should not be a tough sell. Like, Leichhardt Oval was the best place to play.
And their recent history in terms of like that 05 to 10 was, you know, you can sell them on. It's not like a club who's been historically horrible. Like, they've had good patches.
But I mean, as you say,
There's the Anzac Bridge. There's the fish market underneath.
Yeah.
We'll give you a free fucking fish card and a few flounder every week, a few oysters. Scope brought up a really good point.
Yep.
Where the Pommy, they should be attacking Pommy players.
Well, I don't think they've got any choice but to attack Pommy players. Name a player that's been off contract this year that hasn't been linked to the West Tigers, and they've come up with two guys from England who I really like, both of them.
Who are they?
Jackson Hastings, Oliver Gildart. So I love Jackson Hastings. I had him on my podcast. He's nothing like what the media will describe him as, but
He's also gone through a few experiences as well. Like,
and I think he's also one of those guys, though, that if they start to lose, it'll be his fault.
oh, of course.
Like, I feel a bit sorry for Jacko returning into this shit fight, but yeah, I agree with Scope. I think England might be the way to go because, mate, seemingly they can't convince anyone to go there.
If you can get
NRL.
Pommies to go down to Canberra, surely. Yeah. That's like getting someone to go down to Hamilton. Jacko.
Fuck that.
Yeah, so yeah, I'd be, and like Gareth Ellis was one of the premier back rowers for that 4 or 5 year period. I think he picked up every Player of the Year award when he was there, running that line off Benji.
Surely you could get him on the phones to convince a couple of them, say, hey, the Tigers aren't so bad.
Maybe, do you know what? Maybe with Tim Sheen's coming back into the fold, that could be the piece that links everyone up. Because he was at Whole KR, wasn't he?
Well, the other thing about Sheensy is that he's been heavily involved in the Australian schoolboy system the last few years. So it's I look at Tim Sheens, and for me, he's the lounge room guy. He's the guy that's going to go sit in lounge rooms with young guys and convince them to come. Because if it's not him, who are you sending? Like, Melbourne's sending Cameron Smith to sit in lounge rooms. Where do I sign? Who are the Tigers sending at the moment? You know, I think Tim Sheens will play a big role as far as that sort of stuff goes.
Imagine Maguire just coming through, scaring the fuck out of you
Scare
and
the
your
shit out of
families.
you. Yeah.
Do you want some mashed potatoes? Holy fuck. What the fuck's this? Spitting on it.
Yeah, that ain't match strength, that one. Sweet. Well, just before we move into the games, again, Guru, we'll go with you here. The Panthers have been slapped with the 25K. The train has been banned for the rest of the season for that whole stopping the game while Para was hot on the attack. Penalty tough enough in your eyes, and did it kind of have an impact on the game?
Definitely had an impact on the game, but, I mean, what other penalty do you give? I had people messaging me last night saying, replay the game. I'm like, fucking what? Have you seen those two teams? How are you going to replay another game, then play Melbourne on Saturday? You might as well forfeit. Like, I think, it bent the rules. But, I mean, if the Penrith Panthers are lifting a trophy in 2 weeks' time, what's 25K and a trainer missing?
And 25K at Penrith.
Drop in the ocean.
Bro, have you seen how many fucking poker machines out there and how many people fill them up? But that's nothing. They'll get that easy. So, yeah.
Do you think that was a genuine tactic, or do you think it was more just a spur of the moment? And obviously, Mitch Kenny's out, so he was hurt.
We know trainers are puppets.
Yeah.
They do what they're fucking told. And soon as a coach sees something from up there in the bird's eye view, and I've sat on coaches' boxes before.
Stop the game.
They'll be on the thing, stop the fucking game, he's down, he's out. So they might just run on. But is there any ownership on the ref there? Like, you can't.
So the referee's under strict instructions where if the trainer calls for the game to be stopped, they have to stop it.
But surely they can go like, oh, there's no trainer. Oh, I guess there are a fucking 1,000.
They're just
happened so quickly.
They're getting it in there.
Send it up to Perenara in the bunker.
Uncle's not watching anyway.
But it's something that's never really happened before as well, is it? Or
I would guess it's attempted to happen every single weekend, but I think it just got all caught up in the spur of that moment. It's just like, I think if you guys watch that Tales from Tiger Town, mate, the tongue licking that a trainer gets from Madge every 15 minutes is unreal. Yeah,
they all get
it's
it.
like he's saying the same thing. Get out there, say this, do that, you know. And it's, I mean, I think anyone that understands rugby league will understand how important that moment was. And, mate, if you're Penrith and you can get away with it during the game. so be it.
Who gives a fuck?
I believe that trainer, he got fined earlier in the year as well, or warned for a similar incident. So I think it was just...
He'll get a pay rise next year. He's doing his job.
It's finals footy. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, rolling into a bit of preview action. Ice, we'll start with you. We're going to go same system as YKTR Sports Show always does. Strengths, weaknesses, X factors, predictions. So we'll start Manly and South. Strengths for you on this one, Ice.
Multiple looks, and you've seen that try where Fozzie scored last week, where they're giving that like off the back of Jake Trbojevic. I just, when you look at Manly, they'll be hard to do video on because like they're not like... I always use Dragons because I watch Normie in that play. You know what they're going to do from Tuesday. Like, it's almost so obvious. But then there was that style back in the day where you knew what Cronker and Slater and that were going to do, but trying to stop it was a completely different situation. With Manly, like, they'll give you 4 or 5 different looks in the first half, and it's up to you whether you stop them. We've got great back rows who can provide opportunity, great halves that can provide opportunity, and the game's best player running out the back as well. So, you're going to have to div that up, and you're going to get multiple different looks. But if you can shut it down, they start looking around, they start shifting the ball, and they start throwing long balls. So it's a double-edged sword there. Strengths for me, South's Wayne Bennett. The GOAT sort of showed how great is just manipulation through the media. He just understands how the game works from top to bottom, and whatever edge he can get, whether it be the speech in the locker room or those press conferences, he's just too smart. He's just playing on a different level.
Benji touched on that during the week. He said, like, they said, oh, what's the Wayne Bennett effect like at this time of the year? And he just says it's the little tiny conversations he's having with guys like Taff, he's having with guys like Cody Walker, almost behind the scenes. But he just says that's our advantage over everyone, is we have Wayne in the sheds who says he might say nothing or he might say 1 or 2 lines, but makes a difference.
Normally coaches will come around and they'll whisper something in your ear. Like, he might just like plant it a little bit earlier during the week and start to build it up. And I don't know. Like, when you ask the boys about him, they don't know it either. Like, he might just say one thing, but it might be the one right thing at the right time in the right moment. Like,
even if the player doesn't know it, yeah.
Yeah, and because he's seen the game so many times, there'll be a part of this game when this happens, and then when you're out there and it happens, you're like, oh, fuck, he's right. But he's just probably saying the most cliche shit, like, you know what I mean? But I don't know, fuck it. I don't know.
Strengths for you, Guru, in this one?
Yeah, I agree with Wayne Bennett. There's nothing he hasn't seen. That's the beauty of Wayne Bennett. Like, there's nothing you can possibly throw at Wayne that he's going to sit in his chair and go.
Has he seen Tommy Turbo form though? That's the question.
Yeah, but you know what? I look at the biggest strength for me out of South Sydney is Adam Reynolds' right foot. You look at the way that Cameron Munster really took Turbo out of that game a couple of weeks ago, and I have no doubt, the kicking game of Reynolds is just... I still can't believe they're letting him go. It blows me away. But I think Reynolds will have a big say in this game. Obviously, that left edge is going to be massive for South Sydney. Going up against Manly's right edge, I think that Wayne Bennett and his coaching staff, they've had 2 weeks to watch that game against the Melbourne Storm. I think there'll be a lot to take out of that one. This is the scary thing. When you give a really good coach 2 weeks to prepare for a footy side, it's like the NFL, the more time you have to prepare, the more trouble you're in. So, yeah, I really like South Sydney heading into this one. As far as the strengths for Manly go, as you said, all the different shape and everything they can throw at you, I think it's the 2-edge back rowers. And they sort of got their pants pulled down in the last few weeks.
Who's your favourite out of the 2?
At the start of the season, I would have said Schuster, but I like the other fella now.
Yeah,
He's just got something about him, man. He's
wouldn't be because he's 6'6" and can run over top of people, would it?
He's got a little offload about him. He's reliable for DCE to have there too. He runs a good line. He's just
like, can drop it on the toe and that as well, eh?
He can do everything, mate. It's as we said before here recording. To think that Curtis Sirenen potentially isn't needed in this side anymore is crazy to me. These two have just been doing so well. The other one I really like coming off the bench, gives a little X factor. Your mate Carl Lawton.
This is the thing I like about Guru. No one in Australian NRL media gives the Warriors more love than Guru. More than me. I love that.
He's a fucking fence sitter. That's why. He sits on the fence every week.
King of the splinters.
He's nice, Carl.
Yeah, he just gives a bit of...
just leg speed.
Carl Lawton doesn't know what Carl Lawton's going to do. He's hard to prepare for,
Fake Louis Brown.
Like him.
Yeah, that's a great...
He's very, I
was just thinking, I was like, that's like a Louis Brown. Like, is he better at back row or a hooker? Or he can do a job.
He doesn't really know.
He's a footballer.
Louis Brown, the most blindside scoots ever.
It's on.
Dummy
no,
open.
It's not, cunt.
Duck. All right, weaknesses. Well, you go first.
Okay, obviously for Manly, I think it has to be that right out. I'd be really trying to go at DCE in this game. I think Ches, you can get some points out of him there. And I think with South Sydney, they always go down this left edge. I was looking at their stats today. AJ has scored 1 million tries. Centers have scored a heap of tries. Kulamantangi, the edge back rower, I think he's only scored 3 tries this year. They tend to go out the back, and it works for them. But I think I'd be sending a couple of warning shots at DCE early. Kulamantangi's a hard fella to handle, and I think there was a try they scored a few weeks ago where Mark Nichols, he scored Cam Murray through the short ball to him. You could just see the entire defensive line was looking out the back.
Yeah.
'Cause they don't play flat very often. That's where I think they'll go at Manly this week, and I think you can catch DC out there.
I've got a bit of inside knowledge for you for Manly defense. What they do is like a lot of teams, they'll go up early, like say they'll get to the 10 and then they'll make the read off the back of the shape that they're rolling.
Yep.
What Manly do, they actually identify the shape early and like say DC is like, this is my man, that's it. And you got to land on them and you got to make your tackle.
Yeah, right.
It's interesting. So it's black and white. So they'll see the shape coming and they're like, all right, cool, I'm just going to land. And then that's sometimes when they get themselves in trouble where you've got someone like a Melbourne, they'll get up really hard and then they'll make a read off the back of the decision. So their free man might be covering that back row running off his inside shoulder, but it's up to him to make the double read as well. So, yeah, it's a different
It's
way.
interesting,
Yeah, it is.
But, like, does that lean more towards what I'm saying? If they're watching tape on South Sydney and they never use that edge back rower in their strike zones, is DCE sort of taking his eye off this fella a little bit?
I tell you when they do go to Koloamatangi a lot is when they inject Benji. Benji loves playing that flat line to him. So if they load up right, like if they go for that big swing and they duck back to Benji, he loves to play short to Koloamatangi there.
I think as well, Cody Walker, like he's had an unbelievable season, no doubt about it. But for me, I don't think he's run enough, and he probably hasn't needed to. His pass has been so good, but
And then
55 tries.
yeah, you don't have to run. But
yeah, when you start jumping on Instagram and you see you like trying to chop down Joey and the boys and that, you're like, oh fuck, I'm just going to start dishing it off now. Did we do the other side as well? Man, you have to covered both, eh?
Weaknesses.
Oh, for me,
For you.
For me, it's big games and emotions for Manly. They kind of, I don't know if there's two ways they're going to get caught up in the emotions and it's going to fuck up. Like when they played Melbourne a couple of weeks ago and Ched threw that forward pass and then like he was into the ref and then Jakey was into the ref and then Tommy was in there. And these are your three best players. That's $2.5 million worth of talent, even more, $3 million worth of talent going in, losing their heads and everything else sort of crumbled off that. And they scored off the back of that off a sub kick, but that was it. That was like their only try. So I think emotions can sometimes get to them. Last time they played Souths in a major semi or an elimination final, Jakey got sin bin for cutting that guy off. So I think they've got to keep that in check. And they've got three guys there that are Manly juniors. They care about the club more than anyone. They want to get this done. So, and that can play into the other side of it. South Sydney, same as me again. I've got emotions.
Cody Walker,
Dane Gagai. They boys don't mind a bit of a tussle. I always say they're like Cronulla, but with a bit more talent. Like
that's fair.
Yeah, they enjoy being in those types of games. But yeah, sometimes Cody Walker can lose his head as well. Apparently a trainer, if you don't get his way, fucking the ball's in the grandstand. So fuck, I love that.
Oh, I think as well what you said last week when they had that forward pass go against them. And yes, they scored on the next set. I thought that was their worst set of six of the entire season. It was made to look good with a good kick at the end and just Saab being a freakish athlete. But I mean, Turbo, they had a whole set at Melbourne on the line. Turbo didn't touch the ball once. And, you know, you know better than me watching where they were going. But it looked like to me that whole set had no direction whatsoever. They just looked like they were in disarray. For South Sydney, you mentioned the emotion of guys like Walker, Gagai. They love a stink. But then you've also got the emotion of, could be Adam Reynolds' last game.
Yeah.
Could be Wayne Bennett's last game.
I almost put that as my strength, the narrative. You know, I love narrative, and that's
Do ya?
that's my go, bro.
Storytelling. What?
I'm into marketing. And that's the ultimate one, man. The old Reynolds.
Even Dane Gagai, it's his last game too. Like, there's a lot going into this season for
And
South
again,
Sydney.
throwing back to Uncle, we don't know what if Benji's going to hang him up or whatever. So there's plenty to get up for in this one, Ice. But X factors for you, boss, in this Manly versus South. Where are you going?
I'm going Dylan Walker. I think I've gone from the last couple of weeks.
Proven to be right.
They got to match that start, and then when he comes on, he shifts their whole dynamic. And we talk about multiple looks before. He just gives them even more, and he's a run threat as well. So I think he's going to re-sign with the club, which is great. The evolution of the 14 is one of the most important positions in the comp right now, isn't it?
Oh, mate, it is. And even with some of like your really good front rowers, moving them to the bench now, like you look at Nelson coming off the bench for the Melbourne Storm and stuff. Like your bench is more important than some of your starting players.
David
now.
Fafita is probably the prime example.
Yep. Yeah.
Like if he's on 1.2, but he's more effective playing 60 off the bench. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, he's still worth 1.2.
Yeah, 100%.
Scoring 17 fucking tries or whatever he finished with this year.
For South's Meek, I've gone bench. Just purely off the back of who they're going up against as well. So, like with Jai Arrow, Burgess, Host going up against Lawton, Kepi, Paseka. like Benji Marshall and Walker kind of cancel each other out a little bit. Probably Walker's in a bit better form, but Benji can do a similar sort of role. Yeah, I just like their bench a little bit better. Probably led by Jai Arrow.
Yeah, I think Jai in that the Penrith game was probably the difference.
100% he was.
When he came on and was just rough as guts, and that's what I said to you, and you said it was a shit take because I sat on the fence.
Didn't.
No, and I said that if Souths can make it ugly, I think they get up.
I asked him before the show, I go, what's your take on one of the games? And he goes, it's going to go two ways. And basically, he said one team's going to win or the other team's going to win. That's what he said to me, and I was going, that fucking makes no sense.
I literally said, we'll get to our predictions anyway. Guru, X Factor for you, mate.
X Factor, I've sort of already mentioned mine. South Sydney, I'm going for Kulamantangi. I think he's going to have a big game. For the Manly Seagulls.
You got some anytime jam on that or something?
I do, don't worry about that. I won't be missing, no doubt. For the Manly Seagulls, I was saying to you before, I said, you got to bring Saab into the game more. You said, how? I said, fuck, I don't know, but he's just got so much toe. And, I mean, you look at the 2 tries they scored against Melbourne, they just came off the back of him being the best athlete on the field, essentially. You got to bring Saab into this contest a little bit more. I mean, especially late in the halves, if I'm a middle forward and I'm dealing with him just popping up through the middle. One
thing about that, though, if you start to bring in, like when you're looking up when you're on edge and you're doing up a 4-on-4 and your wing is gone, there's no threat there.
Yeah.
So you can kind of bundle up your line. And then when you look at South Sydney defenders, they're kind of low and stocky. Like if he runs into Jaden Silla, he's going to get fucking epped. If he runs into Jai Arrow, he's going to get epped as well. I know he could maybe target like a Burgess and use a bit of feet and get a quick play the ball off the back of that, and then you could run that inside shape with the Trebojevic brothers. That'd be a good way, but yeah, I don't know. You lose, like once those guys start to roam, like your Joseph Manu's, your Jordan Rapana, you fuck up your whole right edge shape. So you're only basically playing off 60% of the field.
Also, as quick as he is, Alex Johnson's can handle himself as well. Like I don't think he's going to be skinning blokes like he has throughout the season.
I just think though, because Manly they played the extra game, South Sydney are going to be so fresh. I think they're going to have to find some orthodox ways to score points here. I think Manly are going to be very tired at the back end of this game. I think the South Sydney pack's going to be up and ready to go for this. One thing we've learned about Wayne Bennett, you can give him 8 planks of wood in his forward pack. Come finals time, they're going to be ready to roll. So
he made Mickey Wayman seem like the best prop in the world for a while, eh?
And Mark Nichols could find his way in a fucking Kangaroos jumper.
Wayman, Dan Hunt, there was a heap of them there. Yeah. It's just what Wayne's able to do. It's not his first rodeo. He knows
remember back in the day when you wouldn't pay Petro like $300? Fuck off then. You go down the Penrith for an extra 50K.
Predictions before we move off this game. Ice, where are you going, man?
Souths. This is probably an unpopular opinion. I just think they're going to win. When I looked at all the teams and I matched them all up, besides Tommy, it's quite an even sort of battle. So I'm going Souths 24-20 off the back of the rest, off the back of the narrative of Adam Reynolds, off the back of the master coach Wayne Bennett. I just think they're going to get it done. 24-20. Manly is definitely going to score some points. That's just the way it is. That's me.
Yeah, I've got Souths by 8 points here. I think the week off's just going to be too much. Give good coaches enough time to watch tape and get their sides ready.
I don't reckon Wayne watches too much tape.
Sorry, I shouldn't say Wayne. The guys around him, though, would be. No doubt about it. And I'm sure their halfback would be too. He'll be ready to roll into this one, Reynolds.
Apparently, when the boys are doing video and stuff, Wayne will sit in the back of the room.
And he'd
be like, this video's taking ages. So obviously that gets all the boys on side as well.
I do have a prediction for you, Ice.
There we go. Something shit again.
I'm going the Justin Horo, Manly by 1, Cherry Evans field goal. That's where I'm going with that one.
So you're stolen another take.
It's not a take. It's last week, new week, fresh week.
Fuck, it just takes takes, bro.
Hey, speaking of DCE, what about the comparison to Michael Jordan the other night? Did you see that?
No.
What was that?
Who tossed that up?
The Dally M Awards. They had a little montage of DCE.
Oh, I did see that. What was that?
They said Jordan, Bryant, DCE. Just going,
gun.
I like him, but come on.
Even DCE, he's self-aware. He'd be good.
Oh, well, DCE had to do an interview after it. You could tell he was just sitting there going, fuck, you're kidding, aren't you? Why would you do this to me?
I'd pull that up straight away. I go, who's put that together? That's not it.
Storm versus Panthers. This is the Footy Companion is back for this one too, Ice. Well, we assume it's going to be back. Wait and see what Scope's doing. But strengths in this one, man. Where are you going?
Initially, I wrote Melbourne is just Melbourne. That's just what they do. This is what they do. They play. They're always in this time of the year. They've always they seem to develop the best players. Bellamy can get probably better value out of 8 planks of wood, in my opinion. Is that fair?
Eight half planks of wood, mate. He is just, it's crazy.
So I feel like their strength is their first 12 minutes and when they start a game. So they use same footy, like complete our first 5 sets. I think they try and complete and then try and fucking step on your throat at the same time, sort of led by Cheese. So I've gone, like, I could do all the obvious ones, but I feel like that first 12 minutes, that's when you know they're on. So when you watch them run out, you'll know if they're on or not. And I say this all the time. I see Mitch Moses like sucking in all the big ones when they beat Melbourne. When Kaufusi ran out last week and he had all his teammates around him, fuck, he was dapping them up like he's walking onto a basketball court. So, sick. And like when you got the best organisation, the best coaching, the best talent, and you're fucking on and your attitude's on, fucking good luck.
Yeah. What about strength for the other boys?
Chip on their shoulder.
Panthers.
It's a position that they've never been in. It can go both ways, but I'm going to see it as a strength. Like, you've got a bunch of juniors that have come through, always winning. 16s, 18s, 20s, they've won it all. They're all into first grade. They've lost like 4 games in the last 2 years or something fucking stupid. They just expect to win, but this is the first time they've ever had a chip on their shoulder. And I think it's going to really show with Nathan Cleary. I think he's the guy to do it. But I think, bro, if they don't win this or they don't win next year, I think that's their window, bro. I honestly think that's their window.
A lot of guys coming off contract next year.
Yeah, and they're all better players now, so they're all worth a bit more. And when these guys will start to have families and you start thinking about different things by then, I don't know, they're up in the Gold Coast, they're down at the beach every single day. I think that's going to be like, shit, maybe I'll go play for the Roosters. Yeah. I don't know. So I think chip on their shoulder is going to be a good thing for them, but they're going up against the Storm.
Strengths for you, Guru?
Yeah, I think Melbourne, like, I've liked them all year, but I think the other thing that I don't think enough people have talked about, the Melbourne Storm are the only team that's gone into a bunker like that every team has and won a premiership too. They've literally done everything before. No one else has. I mean, like, the Warriors did it last year and we all said how impressive they were.
Melbourne were doing the same thing, yeah.
Where'd the Warriors finish last year? What, 12th?
Oh, it's not important. Yeah.
Not important, but yeah. But Melbourne, they still managed to get it done. And
keep the faith.
Yeah. And Cameron Smith has left. I mean, it's insane. For me, I think their strength, you mentioned the first 12 minutes. I reckon that last 20 minutes of the first half, there's a moment where Nelson comes on, Tui Kamika comes on, Harry Grant comes on.
He's a big one, Harry?
Oh, he's huge. I still think he is the best hooker in the game. I think with Dale leaving Melbourne, I think you'll see the Cheese shift back to lock. He'll probably be the best lock forward in the game.
Agree.
I love what Harry does, and I think, with all due respect to Ray Stone, without trying to bag him, I think that if you had a proper 9 on the field last week, I think a Reid Marnie could have really cut Penrith up through the middle. They looked gassed to me.
It'd be interesting to see where they would have finished this year if Reid Marnie, even that 5-game slid they went on. I don't know if they do that with Reid in the side, but who knows?
I think about Reid, he's not a big dude, bro. And like,
he wasn't here, he was tiny.
And when you play para, you just go, we'll go now Reid. Like he'll bump you the first couple of times, but eventually you'll get that and then he'll push him back. And it's common knowledge that most teams go for him as well. So yeah, it's going to be a good game, man.
Yeah, I can't wait. Weaknesses, Storm v Penrith.
No, I don't have one from. I was sitting there and I was going through the team list and I'm like, and then I just started making up shit. I'd just go, maybe their right edge leaks like a little bit more points in the left edge, or
they actually don't. When you go take a hard stats look at it, I think we assume because it's not just an Olam that there's points to be had out there. There genuinely isn't. And then no one can get there.
And then you know what you do? You go through their whole team and you look for the worst player. Yeah. But their system covers individual talent.
Can I give you one?
Who?
The one that I found.
What?
You look back at that grand final last year against Penrith. For me, the most important guy on the field was Cameron Smith. When it sort of all got a little bit chaotic, he just levelled it back down in the last 20 minutes. He took control again. I think in big games, they might start. I don't think they will, but if I'm looking for a weakness, it could be the impact of finally noticing that Cameron Smith isn't on the field.
Jeez, we're looking hard here.
Oh, well, mate, we're going deep. Yeah, we are going deep.
Mark Goyer, he ran a red light in 1999.
Right hand carry.
yeah, I don't know. So I'd love to sort of make up something, but as it stands, right, we could nitpick all we want, but why not just say, they don't really have one? That's okay.
Yep.
Next minute they lose.
We'll clip this up. What about on the other side where you're going for weakness?
Bench, and sort of similar to the last time, it's just them sort of match up against. For Penrith, obviously their bench compared to what they're going up against, Tyrone May versus Harry Grant, Scott Sorensen versus Kamikamitha, Tavita Pangai Jr. is probably the one guy that can hold up his gloves against Nelson, but Nelson's in better form. Liam Martin, different positions, but I think he's lost some punch after Origin. He was.
I think that's proving how important Pangai is at the moment with not the regression of Liam Martin, but he has definitely lost that sting out of his carry.
He was running over blokes before.
Yeah.
He's getting jammed now. Doesn't help when Jerome's giving him the hospital balls of doom. But yeah, that's still a great bench. Like, don't get me wrong, but when you roll up to the other side of like the purple, these boys in purple, holy fuck. Like, Harry Grant could go down as one of the best hookers ever, and he's running off the bench. And whenever you look back at really good grand final sides, they've always got good benches. Yep. And even if they're like 2006 with the Broncos and 2004 was the best example of the Bulldogs, Thurston, Sonny Bill, Roy, Satasi, Rini Matua. And at the time, a lot of those guys are getting underpaid. It's just what it is. Yep. Like, you need a couple guys that are underpaid, that are paying above their pay wicket. Cronulla Sharks back in the day, Jack Bird, Valentine Holmes, killing it. You know what I mean? So that's important. And when you look at grand final teams, they got to have a good bench, and these boys have got it.
Guru?
Yeah, I also think of this Penrith side, and they won X amount of games in a row last year. It was unreal. It was sensational, but they didn't have to play an Origin series smack in the middle of the season, and there's always an Origin hangover, and I think you can see a number of these Penrith Panthers boys are still suffering from that, and it's something that, you know Ivan better than me, but just looking through his coaching history, it's probably something he hasn't had to deal with before. He's never had to farewell 6 of his key blokes for 2 months, smack in the middle of the season, then get them back up for finals footy after that.
That's a really good point, because obviously coaching in New Zealand side, like, you might get the old Jake Lillyman and Brent Tate. That's about it. Steve Price. Yeah. And then when we were at Penrith, we were just all young kids. Just had a really good chemistry.
And when he was on the bus at the Tigers, there was no one there. So I think it's credit to your Bellamy's, your Bennett's, Robinsons, guys that have done this for years. It's all about that tapering at the right end of the season. I think for Penrith too, like, just they climbed the mountain last year, having to do it again this year. It just shows how hard it is to go back to back. It's a credit to the Roosters a couple of years ago, and in my opinion, probably the Melbourne Storm.
One thing that does concern me, probably longevity, Josh Adokar hamstring. Like, hamstrings are notoriously, especially when you're quick, your Tommy Turbos, your Brett Stewarts, he covers the ground quicker than most. So it's going to be interesting sort of see how that plays out over the next couple of years. Fuck, I can't believe he's leaving Melbourne, eh?
Yeah, it's...
How much extra would you leave Melbourne for to go to a side like the Bulldogs? Like, how much would it be worth?
To be a good whack.
It'd have to be a good whack, yeah.
It
depends.
I reckon it'd have to be over 200.
Can I ask you then, at Fox's age, where he's achieved...
How old is he?
Well, let's say he's 5 years into his, what?
So he's 26, 27?
Let's say that. If you're 27 years old, you've won the comp twice, you're playing Origin, you're a walk-in every time Origin's around. Do you not just...
He might not be a walk-in next year, though.
I reckon he will. I reckon he's done enough to maintain.
We would have said the same about Nick Kotrick, though. He would have been asking.
I'll put Fox in a different class, personally.
Yeah.
I think both sides of the ball, he's the best winger in the game.
Yeah, so do I.
Poor bloke's only getting Xavier Coates.
To answer your question...
Imagine where Coates is going to be in 3 years' time.
I said this early on. I said in 2 years he'll be the best player in his position, whatever that be, centre or wing. He's going to be the best player.
Yeah.
Lukey, clip that.
X Factor Ice in this one. Where are you going?
Hold on. Where are you going?
You start, Guru. Sorry.
X Factor in this one, I go for Harry Grant. I'm glad I got him before you. I love this kid. I remember watching him playing for the Falcons a couple of years ago, and for anyone that watched Queensland Cup, you knew this kid was going to be a superstar. He is just... I think he has the potential to be the second best hooker we've seen. I know it's early days, but... I've never seen someone with so much ability.
Hey, here's a question, bit off topic. If this Melbourne team go get it done, if you compare this against any other Melbourne team, do they beat Nut?
Oh, I don't know. It's tough, isn't it? I mean, I was thinking the other day, if Melbourne win this year, I think over the last 6 premierships, it's only been the Roosters and the Storm that have won it.
Yeah, I saw that. 17,
18, 19, 20. Yeah, it's insane. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And this is after...
I was just thinking, that's crazy.
You're like, where was South in that?
They're like 14, man. There's ages.
That's what the last team to win it that wasn't them was Cronulla, 2016.
16, yeah.
Shit. Yeah, well.
Cronulla's got 2 players left from that team. No one's won a comp since. Wade Graham and Fafita, who...
Yeah, Fafita's on the outer.
Touch wood, they stay, but, you know, it's scary how dominant this team's been, especially... And I think this is what's so important about this comp for Craig Bellamy is that he's never gone back-to-back, and he's never won a comp without Smith, Slater or Cronk. This is his chance.
Actually, I've got a better question for you. No fence sitting here. Cameron Smith.
I know what to do with myself.
I'm going to leave.
Cameron Smith or Cheese and Grant on the same side? Who would you have?
Cameron Smith.
Would ya?
Cameron Smith. Yeah.
I'd go the other way.
Nah, he doesn't lose, bro. Period.
Winners win.
Yeah. It's a good question, though. I like it.
I'm going the other way.
Why?
Because there's two of them. For one, they're better runners. Probably the only thing they don't have is probably I think Harry Grant will eventually have the temperament. Maybe kicking game, bro. Maybe kicking game. I think everything else.
I just think you got to accept with Cameron Smith that you've seen he's going to be the best for 20 years.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, maybe I'm just caught up in highlights.
In 10 years' time, I reckon it'll be. But I reckon in 10 years' time, we won't even be talking about Brandon Smith as a hooker. I think we'll be talking about him as the best 13.
Yeah, just loaded up on cryptocurrency, I reckon, and marketing. You know, I mean, he might move just into one of those spaces. Is Nathan Cleary your X factor for? He has to be, or you?
Yeah, I think he has to be. I think Appy as well, but I just don't know if Penrith's pack is going to be able to get on the front foot against Melbourne. I find it very hard to see them winning. To be honest with you, I just think going the long way around, coming up against Craig Bellamy. There's a lot that goes into this that's going to be very tough. And as I said before, I think Bellamy understands his legacy in the game and going back to back, winning a comp without those fellas, winning a comp the year after Cameron Smith retires. I mean, you look at the greats that have retired. Newcastle's still recovering. Parramatta's still recovering from Sterlo. You asked Finchy about when Brad Fittler retired. Like, that was an absolute shit fight at the Roosters, and they had internationals everywhere. But take Freddie out. I mean, for them to do what they've done without Smith is insane.
My X factor for Melbourne, they've got the longest spine in the comp. So usually your spine's 4 players, they've got 6. And all those 6 players, they all can turn it on and they don't care who turns it on, which is like fucking crazy.
What do you mean by that? Like,
So Munster could have a rack together 10 minutes and then Jerome Hughes is going to be over there celebrating. Jerome Hughes can put up 2-3 tries and 2 line breaks in a half.
Right.
Munster's going to be over there. Harry Grant can come on. Like Cheese can come on. Nico Hines can come on.
it's like in basketball. So if one of them's got the hot hand, they give.
Yeah, they don't care. Yeah. Like we gave the example of Clay Thompson being like Jerome Hughes. Like he might not get all the attention, but if no one's looking, fucking bang, 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 you're looking at the post, watching Pappy kick goals. So, and it's scary. Like 100%, like Nico Hines can come on Pappy. Like they only need 2 of them. Like we go, who's the X factor for Nathan? You're like, Nathan Cleary's going to have a good game and play for 80 and kick well and not drop a ball and then set everything else up. This Melbourne side, they can share that. They can share that.
Three of them could be off. If 2 of them are on, they're going to be all right.
2 of them are on, they're better than every other team in the comp.
Yeah.
I think as well, when I look at that back line, you know, if you ask me to name the top 15 best fullbacks in the game, Pappy would be there. I'd have Munster there. I'd have Hughes there. I'd have Nico Hines there. I'd have all 4 of them. Potentially in your top 10. I think people forget how good Munster was at fullback.
He was my favourite.
The guy, man.
Yeah.
Even Jerome, when he first burst on the scene, he was fucking good at the back.
That's when Para were flying and they didn't really, I think Haynes had just left and I remember telling Norman, I was like, fuck, when did he have that crack at that Munster kid? And BA was obviously down there at Manly. He goes, nah, BA's been fucking trying hard, but he ain't leaving. Yeah, he's just a footballer, bro. And as games get bigger, he just gets bigger, rise to the occasion. And Scope, we got to party with the boys after the Origin series, and he walked in the conversation with Brimo and Munster, and Brimo just pulled him up. He goes, bro, what do you love Origin? He goes, you just find out who's going to crack. He said something along those lines.
That's so intense.
And and he goes, I just love the pressure. I just love to see who's going to crack and if you've got what it takes to make it or not. And this is like 3 o'clock in the morning, bro.
Munster's prime time.
Yeah, so we're trying to do day 2, day 3, and he's probably seen if everyone else is going to crack. So, yeah, and Scope just walked into that conversation. It wasn't like...
Wasn't manufactured.
Wasn't manufactured. Wasn't doing it for a podcast or anything. That's just who he is, bro. He's a big-time player. And if he gets this ring, is that 3 or 4? 3.
That'd be
Munster. 3, yeah. At the moment, Jesse Bromwich, he's the only player left in the comp that's won 3 premierships.
No, Luke Carey would have one.
Oh, sorry, left in it now,
right
still
now.
playing. Yeah. So out of all the guys, I did it the other day. I went through and had a look at the numbers, and I think Penrith, they've got one guy that's won a premiership. Who it is?
Give him a moment.
It's a tough one.
Happy Carousel.
Yeah, it's Happy. So he came in for Isaac Luke. You look at Manly, they've got 3.
He got a Dally in point that game too.
Did he?
Got the one.
Yeah, right.
So he come off out of nowhere, got a point, killed it that game.
Shout out Bully, just retired as well.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah, you have a look at Manly, they've got the halves and they've got Dill Walker as well. And then
you look at Melbourne and they got the whole team.
Well, Melbourne's got the whole team, but then if you take out last year's premiership, they've still got 8 guys that have won premierships there. That's more than the rest of the comp left combined.
Oh, one guy hasn't won one, Harry Grant.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like 4 guys that haven't won a comp last
So
year.
you're basically saying Harry Grant's dragging that team down. Is that what I'm hearing?
He's a liability.
You want to talk about players that you think are destined to win a premiership? Harry Grant would be number one.
You want to get one early, I reckon. You can just
Kick your feet up.
If you're Brandon Smith, are you more hesitant to leave if you go back to back?
I think unless he comes to the Roosters for a whack, I think he stays. I don't think he's going to a shit.
I reckon
side.
them signing Watson makes it less and less likely you'll see Brandon. I mean, the Roosters could still fit in there, but
yeah, I think if he wants to play a 9, he walks into that side as a 9.
Yeah, I think respectfully
he
to Sam
wants to-
Verrills, he would. Yeah.
no, for sure. But I think them signing Connor Watson. I mean, talking to Kempy the other day, Cameron Smith seems convinced that Watson's going to start at 9, and which I think is really interesting. I'd play him at 14 too. I agree, but
Yeah, I think 14's his spot. He can make more of an impact.
I was talking to Kempy about it, and he said, "Well, Cameron Smith said this," and I went, "Oh, fuck,
would he
can't really argue with that, can I?" He's a slightly better hooker than me.
Just go back to Kim. What the fuck would he know?
Finally, Ice, prediction in this one then, man. You've given all the variables. Where are you going?
What? I've got one variable. 36-10 to Melbourne. Exact. Load up.
Guru?
Yeah, I got Melbourne by about 22. I think they'll definitely go 13 plus. I mean, if you had to give me overs or unders, how many points Melbourne score in the last 20 minutes? I'd probably go over 18. I really think this Penrith side's going to be gassed towards the back end. And
I think Pappy turns one on for some reason. I don't know. I think he's just trending nicely. There was those doubts about him, obviously coming back. Man, he'd be walking around with a bit more confidence. I've seen the photo he put up. I look at Instagram. I think that's an important factor for football.
The window for the NRL.
That's how I see football. If they're happy on Instagram, they're going to be happy rolling into a game, and he's putting up posts looking lovely. So I reckon he maybe get 2.
Speaking of posts looking lovely, we didn't address it, but if Corey Norman ever posts a photo like that with the cowboy hat in the car again, he's got to get out of here. He's living. Prediction from me, I'm going Penrith. I've been on him all year. I'm going to say 16-10 and an absolute tight one.
yeah, you had him going for the undefeated season.
Yeah, this is what we're going to put off around here, Guru.
Miami Dolphins.
There you go, Ice. That's it.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Guru, thanks for coming in, bro.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. It's a good time.
Like, comment, and subscribe.